Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kit Cave. I thought I'd share a quick update with you all with regards to progress on the AMT ERTL 1400 scale USS Enterprise C. So I've been doing a little bit more work to this kit over the last couple of weeks. As we know from the last video, the kit is all done and it's just all ready for installing into the base itself, and that's kind of what I've been working on. Now, originally I was going to use the original kit base, which is a really lovely base. I love these little fancy designs that they put on here. They're beautiful bases, as opposed to the polar lights. I don't like the polar lights bases. It's personal preference. They're functional. They do what they need to do. But when you've got like this standard dome type base here, which is very basic, and I've got this one rigged up to actual power supply, so I can test my electronics as I'm putting the kits together. I don't like them, too plain. But these older versions are really nice. Now, as I said, I was going to use this one, but I decided against it. I didn't want to have the hassle because I would have had to have built up the bottom here for the switch and to get the circuit board in and the wiring. But I am going to keep this. I'm going to keep this and paint it up and use it as maybe a little plinth up on the wall or for something else. It's a really nice piece. So with this one, that's going to go into my bits bag. So these are the bits that are left over from the model kit. As any modeler will probably do, they probably do the same as what I do. Keep all the little fancy bits, all these little plastic pieces. They come in really handy for other kit builds, certainly when you're doing kit bashing, and I do have a kit bash project coming up in the wing, so I'm going to save all these bits for later on for that. So what base am I going to use? Well, here it is. This is what I've been working on. This is a 3D printed base. I spent this weekend putting this one together, and I have spent the last couple of weeks in Blender doing different versions of a base, and all the designs I was coming up with I wasn't really happy with. First of all, I started off just as a prototype, this kind of plinth base. You got the hole here for the switch to go in, and for the mounting rod, and at the back for the power jack to insert the actual power supply there coming from the mains. That really didn't print out quite well, the overhang there on the beveled edge. But it was a mock-up design. I was kind of looking at it thinking, yeah, okay, it's going to do the job. It's kind of nice, but again, I just didn't like it. So I went back to Blender, spent a few days doing lots of different designs, none of which I actually truly liked, and then eventually came up with this weekend. What I actually just done before I started the video, you can see the little rod here. This is a bit of aluminium rod, clear through to feed the wiring. I actually polished this up just using a bit of standard, sorry, I'll explain that in a minute, bit of brasso, polished up the rod, nice and shiny, and that's ready to now be all installed. So over to the base itself. As I said, this is the design I come up with. First of all, the actual base itself, modelled this. It actually prints in 3 parts, this kit. It's not all in one piece. I decided to do it in separate pieces. So you've got the outer base shell here. Diameter of this measures 5 inches, so the bottom diameter is 5 inches, which is the same as the polar lights, dome type base. Inside then you've got the central strut, support strut. I had to do a little bit of modification on this one just here, because I didn't quite calculate the hole right in Blender, but I have since gone back and on the file in Blender have modified that. Also, what I did here with the support fins going across, I actually made them a little bit wider. So I went back to the original digital file, made these support fins a little bit wider and a tiny bit shorter, because I had to do some reaming out in here in the channel to get this to slide in, but it's in. I am going to resin this into place, but that's in there tight. It really is. It was quite a tight fit. But that's done. So these are 2 separate pieces. 5-inch circumference base. It stands. Let me just get my ruler out so we can see it. Height-wise, I didn't want anything that was too high. I wanted to keep it as shallow as possible, but high enough, obviously, to incorporate a switch. Now, what I'm putting in here is a little rocker switches that I like to use. So this, height-wise, is what we're looking at. Have a quick look, Steve. Have a quick look. So it's standing about 1.5 inches. It's about 1.5 inches. I don't know if you can see that. The light's not very good here. Sorry. It's about 1.5 inches. All in all, 1.5 inch height, which is plenty. Absolutely plenty. So that was quite simple to do, quite an easy thing to model in Blender. I got that done, and then for the top piece another separate flat piece was printed, and I actually printed all of these bits out yesterday and did all the modifications to them, hard modifications to this printed bit, and then back to the files, the digital files, to get it all right. This piece was actually a piece that was part of a kit that I downloaded off of Colts, but I was looking on Thingiverse and on Colts for lots of different designs, so I didn't create this. I forgot the name of the modeler who posted it on Colts. I will put the link to it and the name and recognition for the guy who designed this and posted on Colts in the description to this video. It's only fair. I'm not taking credit for someone else's work. But it was a really nice piece. And this is the top bit, and it looks well. And this, I got to be honest, this is the first time I've actually printed off something of this design on my Anycubic Mega Zero 2.0. With the lettering, which is recessed and design, and it's come out really well. It's only a thin piece, it's only 2mm diameter, which is plenty big enough. And as we saw just before, this needs to be affixed on here, but it literally just slots in. It's a little bit of a tight fit, so I did go back and modify this and shortened it down on all axes apart from the Z to the diameter by 0.5mm, so it slots in there a little bit easier. That's a little bit tight, but essentially that sits on there with the support rod going right the way through, all the way down. You can see here I had to do a bit of modification this morning because I had to drill this right axis. I didn't get the diameter, but then I went back in with my little 3D printing pen, filled it up and re-drilled it. So it looks a bit messy, but again, this modification of diameter has been done on the actual digital file itself. And there we go, that's how it's going to stand. Get that lined up, get it in. Looking pretty good. Once that's painted up, it's going to look fantastic, and I really like that design on top. And I've left it raw. I'm not going to be sanding this down. It's a 3D print file. It looks like what it is, but it's I like that. It's come out really well. So yeah, there we go. That's what I've been working on. And I'm at the point now of starting to install all the bits and pieces. Get this rod installed into the kit itself. Affix this plate on and the bracket underneath for support. Then I can start getting this in, feed all the wiring down through, and then lastly it's just getting the switch. This is the switches I like to use, little rocker switch. It's got a little red button. They're supposed to be illuminated switches, to be fair, illuminated rocker switches. I've never actually figured out how to get it illuminated. I'm sure it's quite simple to do, I've just never looked into it, but I just like them like that. So that sits into that hole there. Once it's in, and it'll sit nice and flush with there. Again, it's a little bit of a tight fit, but that's not a problem. I can sort that out. And then of course at the back is where I get the little jack here, which is kind of recessed in, so that'll sit in the back for your power supply. 9 volts is what I use. Job done. Lots of room inside to get all the wiring in, fix it. Now I haven't printed obviously the bottom here. I'm going to leave it open because at the end of the day it's at the bottom of the model. You're not going to see it when it's sat flat on the shelf, and it just gives you good access to well, actually, I've just spotted something quite interesting there. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. But actually, because this is... Let me just pull that up to the light a minute. I've just hit on a bit of an idea there. There we go, look. See how that's lighting up? I didn't spot that because it's quite thin, because it was only that top piece, the very top piece. Look at that. Ooh, so that gives me an idea. I could put some LEDs in there and backlight that. Look at that. Hey, it's one of those, what was it Bob Ross used to say? Happy little accident. Look at that. I could probably leave that grey, paint round it to light block it. Ooh, there's an idea. There we go. And just backlight it with some LEDs inside the actual base. Ooh. Ooh, happy little discovery there. Pleased with that. There we go. I might actually do that then. That actually might work out pretty bloody good. Anyway, as I was saying, plenty of room in here. Feeding the wiring, and now to put some backlight LEDs, I think. I might experiment with that to see how that looks. That looks quite good, actually. Quite chuffed with that. And that's a simple thing to do, isn't it, I suppose? Is it or isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, I'll figure that out. I'm sure there must be a way to backlight it quite easily once I've painted the top. Ooh, 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 the possibilities. There we go. Yeah, as I was saying, of course, there's plenty of room in here. I'm not, I didn't print a bottom to go onto this because then, it gives you access to get all the wiring fed through. And also, lastly, with the circuit board. So this is one I need to come back to and finish. I finished putting it together, and I keep promising to do a video on this, and I will do it just to show people who are new to this hobby just how simple and cheap these little boards are to put together. I probably won't go through the entire bit by bit of soldering, each connection, but I will go through a good little video to explain what each bit is doing, how it gets connected to pin numbers, and teach you the basics that you need about these little electronic boards. And again, don't get me wrong, there are other people out there that use different boards, different systems. You've got Tenor Controls over in the States who has printed PCB boards, and he's got lots of them on his website. I've never used his products, and I do want to invest in it at some point. But lots of people use Tenor Control boards, and they're really good for what they do. And he's more of an expert than I am, don't get me wrong. Also, there was a chap I like to watch on another YouTube channel, Wayne, from the world of Wayne. He likes to use Arduino boards and programming. Great. I don't have the knowledge of programming Arduino boards, so I haven't really experimented with them. But for little boards like this, very cheap. Total cost of the components here is absolute peanuts, bit of time. And all this is really doing, it's doing the two different flash rates for the what I call the navigation and the strobe lighting. So on the nacelles and on the saucer sections and other bits on the kit. So two different flash rates. I think the strobe flash at an interval of 1 second, and the strobe flash at 0.5 of a second, half a second intervals, to try and replicate, closely match what we see on the films and the TV series. But I'll finish putting that one together, and then that one can go on in, and there's some room in there to get that one installed into the bottom there, like that. I'll probably take this capacitor off, put a new one in, and get this one laid flat rather than sticking up like that, so it's all nice and neat in there. I mean, yeah, I could have spent some time to design a proper little fixing shelf in here for it, but there's really no need. I'm just going to hot glue it in place, and it's fine. It'll be in there. It'll rest on there. Hot glue it on the corners. Job done. It ain't going to go anywhere. But there we go. But there we are. That's where we're at, everybody. That's where we're at. Oh, happy about that. I didn't... Ooh, the possibilities now of backlighting that, to have that lit up. That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. I didn't spot that before, but there we go. But there we are, everybody. Little quick update for you. So I'm going to continue working on... oh, I don't know now. I don't know what to do. Well, I'm going to get the support rod installed into the actual model kit itself, and get all the wires fed through. That's the next stage. Yeah, now I'm going to start to think about what I'm going to do with this, because essentially all I was going to do was just resin this bit in here, get this bit resined on and fixed in, and then just paint it over just a flat colour. But now I don't know. Now I don't know. Looking at that, I may do the backlighting. And it's a very simple thing. Just once the main switch and the power's in, just to put some LEDs in here, just to shine down, just to light it up. I'll see what that looks like. But then is that going to work with that crossbar section? Is the things to consider. Possibilities. I'll have a look. I'll have a look and see what I can do with that. But yeah, there we go. Nice little 3D printed custom base. If anybody's interested, I probably will post this, post the files for this up on Thangs and put the link into the description in the video. But yeah, it's a nice little base, and of course for any size model it can be sized up, sized down, modified to whatever switches you want to do. But there we go, little custom base, 3D printed. Didn't take long with these three. I mean, total print time for these bits equaled about 6 hours. 6 hours for 3 pieces. Wasn't very long in the grand scheme of things. And I'm quite happy how that top turned out. It's not perfect. There's some issues there, but I'm happy that is a 3D print. You've got to expect to have these things. It's an FDM printer. It's not resin. But for the first time printing that out with any substantial form of lettering, which is the first bit I've ever done with lettering like this, and this kind of design, it's come out quite well on this printer. Very happy with it. But there we are, everybody. I'll stop rambling now, and I'll make a decision what I'm going to do with whether I'm going to backlight this. But I'll carry on with this kit, and hopefully in the next video then we'll be showing the final installations, the final bit of this one, and coming back to the circuit board. to have it all finalised. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you to everybody who posts comments on the channel, on the videos, and hits the like button. I do appreciate everybody that does it, and I do respond to each and every comment as soon as I can. But there we go. You all take care, and I'll see you again very soon for the next update and hopefully the final update video for this current build. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.